I'm going to tell you something about auto repair shop financials. And I hate to tell you this, but they're super simple. You know, I've said before that you make $1 million 1 second at a time. You break down your numbers, and if you have a target number, well, you break that down to a year, a month, a week, a day, an hour, a minute. And really quickly, you're going to know how much money you got to make, and it's a whole lot easier to break down that tiny little number at the end of the day than it is to look at a year and say, I got to have $3 million. Now, here's the thing. Everybody gets so wound up about the numbers, and they feel so overwhelmed because they're not getting where they want to get. I was talking to a shop owner just today, and I said, hey, look, your parts profit is down $20,000 from industry standards. Like you got to raise that number because that's a good chunk of what you're missing. That's why you can't pay your bills. And they said, oh my gosh, $20,000 more dollars? How will I ever do that? Break it down, all right? You see, I don't think that we look at our finances personally or in the business itself and say, okay, how much money does it take for me to pay my bills? It's that simple. If you look at your monthly bills and you break those monthly bills down, you break them down to the hourly level, seems pretty simple. How much money does it take to feed the machine? I'm going to tell you that for the most part, the industry standard is 50 to 60% gross profit on parts, 70% gross profit on labor, 55% gross profit on sublet. And look, I need to be really clear about this. I'm talking about gross profit. I'm not talking about markup. I'm talking about gross profit margin. There is a difference. Please hear me out on this. Gross profit margin is the percentage of the total price that is profit. Markup is the percentage that the price was increased over what you paid for it. Do not mix those two up, because you'll be looking at these numbers saying, I'm hitting the industry benchmarks, but I don't have any money. Make sure you get this number right. But like I said, the numbers for the business are really simple. It's that you're not breaking them down. It's that you're not making them small enough that you can analyze them. They feel like they're overwhelming. You got to break these numbers down into micro numbers, things that you can manage, things that you can do something about. I like the day level because I can manage day by day. I can manage week by week. When I get out to a month, the metrics that I'm looking at, I can't change. I can't navigate with because the month's already done by the time I'm looking at them. But if I'm looking at it on a daily basis, if I'm looking at it on an hourly basis, if I'm looking at it on a ticket by ticket basis, I can make it work. I can make the adjustments I need to get there. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Know what your number needs to be. Break it down by how many build hours you typically have and say, I have to make at least this much. It's that simple. You don't have to struggle. And it doesn't take gouging somebody. And if you feel like you're gouging somebody when you have that number, then you either shouldn't be in business or you better lower your expenses, because that's what it costs to be in business at that point. The way I do it is I take my expenses and I multiply that by 1.2, because that's how much profit I want to make. I want to make 20% profit. I mean, if I can put the same amount of money in the stock market and I can make 10 to 12, sometimes 15% here lately, there's people making 30%. You really think that I'm going to show up and go to work for 10%? No, that's crazy. I could find a better investment to put my money in at 10%. So why would I show up and go work in a shop every day? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm just adding that 20% to the number, and I'm dividing that by the number of build hours I typically turn and say, hey, I have to have this much gross profit per hour. It's that simple, guys. That's all you got to do. Just my opinion. Y'all have a good one.